time for the final race. Race 2 in round 5 of the Dunlop Series here at Bathurst. Scott McLaughlin there, he's starting back in 13th, James Moffat. He did get running again in race 1, but that is a critical blow to his series. Remember, just 7 rounds, there's not much time to recover.
No, you're exactly right, Noons, and massive implications that tyre delaminating for him yesterday it had on his championship assault, but definitely watch for him coming through the grid. Elliot Barber out at 12, first time here at Bathurst in a V8 Supercar.
He's done a very, very good job in that ex-GRM Fujitsu Commodore. Adam Wallace, Brett Stewart. Andrew Jones, he had a tyre drama too. He starts back in 18th. Michael Hector making his debut here in the development series. Aaron McGill picks up the Armour All Sass Award this weekend. He is the most experienced man in the series. But at the other end of the grid, it's Percat and Mostert to square off again. Pye and Wood on road 2. Yulden and Blanchard next. Away we go at Bathurst. Great jump this time by Mostert. Much better than race 1. Elliot Barber stalling on the grid. The full field managed to get around him. But into turn 1 and Pye and Wood side by side. Blanchard out through the grass.
And Drew Russell as well out onto the grass. So Mostert, much better start than he had in race 1, but it was Percat with the jump. And he leads the field up mountain straight for the first time.
Keen to cover at Griffin's Bend, turn 2. There's McLaughlin, Fujitsu Ford, Andrew Jones carving their way through the order. They've got to be careful. They've got pace on a lot of these cars in front of them, but you have to pick your moment.
You certainly do, and for McLaughlin, he obviously wants to get through as many cars as he can, but he's still got to think about his championship. He's not out of this championship by no means, but he's got to get as many points as he can. Percat really wringing the neck of that Coates Hire Commodore. Scott Pye going with the two of them as well.
You see the puffs of smoke there, right front tyre being jammed up under the wheel guard as the car bottoms out on the run through Reed Park.
Percat now over Skyline, down through the S's into the dipper. He is really pushing on. He knows he's going to be in for a big fight with Mostert, that's for sure. Yulden having a look up the inside of Wood, can't complete that pass. A little bit of lock brakes in the background as well. Onto Conrod straight now for the first time. Longest and fastest straight in the country.
And remember too that Luke Yulden in that older model BF Ford I just wanted to wait and watch there. Luke Yulden is fighting for the Privateers Cup with Ash Walsh, who is having a bad run this weekend. They've been 5th and 6th coming into this weekend's round, but Yulden's had a much better run. Walsh is back in the pack. Wood sideways off the curb. He needs to get across and defend, but I don't think he's been quick enough. There's a bit of an overlap. Yulden's nose is in the gap. Blanchard and Medicki could be the big winners here.
Oh, a bit of contact there, Yulden. Up the inside of Wood. Blanchard now with the run on Wood, up mountain straight. And look at George Medicki in that Bob Jane T-Marts Falcon. He's got nowhere to go, but he's pushing Wood along. Blanchard now be caught out to dry.
And in the background, you can see Drew Russell and Jeff Emery, who did his fastest ever time in qualifying. He'll step into Craig Lowndes' 888 Vodafone Commodore for next year's Dunlop Series. Really looking forward to getting his hands on that 888 Commodore, but Yulden's just been able to buy himself a little bit of breathing space here and get away from this pack.
So Medicki there with a bit of NASCAR-style bump drafting up mountain straight. Through on Blanchard, so their battle from race 1 continues just with the positions reversed.
Well, George did drive the last little while in the States for Marcus Ambrose in late model racing, so I'm sure he's picked up a tip or two from over there, but this great run across the top of McPhillamy. Pye's going with these two. We spoke about it in the colour story at the start of the show. He's never been here in a V8 Supercar, but he has been here before. He came here in February and drove an Astra in the 12-hour GT and production car race. So he knows his way around, but this is completely different. I don't like hearing frying Dunlops. Blanchard's down in the gap, though. Medicki gives him room. And they play on okay.
And the thing with Scott Pye to remember is he is, even though it's his first time here at the Mountain of V8 Supercar. He's doing double duty, obviously teaming up with Taz Douglas in the I-Select Commodore. So that's obviously helped him throughout the weekend. The more laps you do around here, the better you get. But Mostert putting plenty of pressure on the back of the Kotai Commodore.
Yeah, Percat's not going to have it as easy as he did in race one. Mostert made a decent jump. He hasn't had to pick his way through the traffic. He is zeroing in here. And if he can stay right where he is, he'll end up series leader at the end of this race. Replay at turn one. Yielded. Good move. No problem with that at all. But they have to slow one another down. A little bit of a rub. And Blanchard, all his Christmases have come at once. Back to the top of the hill. Percat, Mostert, Pye. They've pulled clear. These three guys, plus McLaughlin, have been the form drivers in 2012. But it's no fluke that they're all affiliated with level 1 main championship series teams. Percat with Walkinshaws, Mostert with FPR, he's wide the leader. Boy, oh boy, that could have been off the road before you know it. Pye part of Triple Eight, so no fluke that they're driving good gear and they're running at the front with plenty of information transfer between the main championship and the development series, but they have taken away a couple of those elements from a technical sense by the rule makers that mean that you can't quite do that as much as you formerly could.
So Mostert now trying to get a good run onto Conrod Straight, get in the slipstream of Percat. Replay here of Blanchard up the inside at Forest Elbow, but Nicky gives him room. Here comes Mostert now up the inside of Percat.
He's got it done at the chase, so Mostert goes to the lead. And remember too, if he can jag the win in this race, they'll have had a first and a second each. But the tiebreaker is on this final race. Dave Patterson, race engineer for Chaz Mostert, watching on. He's worked with plenty of good drivers over the years. Percat down the inside again. Chaz gives him room. The boys are into it. This is good stuff.
Scott Pye will be loving the side of these two battling, slowing each other up. Percat now having to defend into turn one.
Pye having a look. He's, look out. He's going to take out the leader. No, he doesn't. He makes the turn. He gets by Mostert, but he's got no speed entering Mountain Straight, and the Ford should get back in front.
So Pye with a big lunge up the inside of Mostert. Very lucky not to take out Percat. And all the while this is happening, Percat's just got a bit of a margin now. So Percat, very assertive move up the inside of Mostert into the last corner. Probably caught Mostert a bit by surprise. And this battle continues to rage on.
Remember too, when we leave the mountain after this race, 2 rounds to go. Winton in November, Sydney in December. 5 races and plenty of points. Simon McNamara, motorsport manager for Holden at the bottom of screen. The FPR team, Matty Nilsson, Dave Patterson, Tim Edwards and the like, watching on as their 2 young tyros go at it.
And the next round of the championship is at Winton Motor Raceway, FPR and HRT's home test track. So for Pye and McLaughlin, they're going into enemy territory in this back half of the season.
And Scott McLaughlin, the update with the Fujitsu Ford, he is up to position 7. Here's the replay of the move. Pye locking up and very lucky not to wipe out, well, either of the top 2.
Yeah, you're right. He did a good job to not make contact with either Mostert or Percat. Locked the left front. You can see that just really made it hard for him to stop. Had to use the curb to help turn the car. And Mostert gets a good run onto Mountain Straight. Now on board with George Madecki in the Cytec Falcon.
And has done a pretty solid job off this weekend. Qualified 9th, 7th in race 1, settling into a rhythm at Mount Panorama. More of the Dunlop Series, just a moment. Nick Percat still leads the way at Mount Panorama. Race 2, round 5 of the Dunlop Series for V8 Supercars. Chaz Mostert is leading the chase. Scott Pye sits in 3rd. In the Monster Commodore, Luke Yulden flying the flag for the privateer teams. He's 4th for Matthew White Motorsport, but Nick Percat, solid job here. Right there, 12 months ago, he nearly threw away a Bathurst win.
And Mostert, he has had those blue headlights burning on the back bumper bar of Nick Percat. This is about the furthest they've been separated for the whole race. Bit of action back in the pack. Jillison up the inside of, I think it's Aaron Russell.
Yep, CG Rentals Falcon. He's done a Percat. He's out really wide, almost in the fence. And this is the original Brad Jones Racing BA from back in 2003. Started on the front row of the grid for that year's race. Had a bit of troubles with this car. They snapped the anti-roll bar in the second practice session, but older model cars. They're really excited. They're going to Stone Brothers FGs for next year, so they've only got a few more rounds with the older cars to get through.
And you talk about privateers, Noons. This team is the ultimate privateer effort. They always show up, the two brothers and Michael Hector as well. They run 3 cars. They do a great job, and I'm really excited for them next year to step up to some new Stone Brothers machinery.
On board with Rodney Jane off the top. Remember, he started from 22nd on the grid because of the drama in race 1. He's up to 14th and chasing Marcus Tukanovic. Replay of the chase here. McLaughlin on the charge. He gets through on Tim Blanchard and picks up position number 6. That was close.
And lost it here through Reed Park. Wide and into the fence hard. So whether that's done any damage to the FPR Falcon, I suggest it might have, because that gap to Percat has dropped. He is lucky to keep going. Usually when you hit the wall at that speed, you break the Watts link out of the car. So Mostert, a massive moment up over the top, and that might have stopped his charge for this race win.
Must build him tough at FPR, because I've seen plenty of other cars do that over the years and instantly be limping back to pit lane, but he seems to be charging on okay.
Wood now starting to put a bit of pressure on Yulden. This is for 4th place, and with Mostert potentially in trouble, this could be for a podium, Noons.
Yeah, very well. We'll wait and see what happens. Penultimate lap. Across the top, McLaughlin is closing in the Fujitsu Falcon. And just doing some quick numbers, if he stays where he is or around where he is, Mostert finishes at the front. Chaz will become the series leader, leaving Bathurst and going to his home track at Winton.
That's going to be a massive advantage for him in the second last round of the series. This is the business end of the year when you need to be putting all the pressure on. And McLaughlin, he will be massively disappointed with that result yesterday, but all he can do now is focus on the rest of the year. He's done a great job so far to come through to 6th, and he'll be working as hard as he can to get these next couple of cars in front of him.
Plenty of eyeballs on McLaughlin for 2013 with the V8 Supercars Championship. We'll wait and see if he manages to pick up a main game ride or he's back in the series next year. But back to the front, this will be the end of lap 13. Percat and Mostert, that looks like a race-winning margin without drama with 1 to go.
Mostert, though, has clawed back a bit of ground, so maybe he just spent a lap or so feeling what the car was like, because that was a really big hit, Noons, and like you said, many cars that before him would have been out of the race with contact that severe at that part of the track.
A few nervous faces there at both camps. Walkinshaw Racing with Simon McNamara, Ryan Walkinshaw and Brian Ings, a familiar face to our viewers, who's Nick's girlfriend, as Yulden Wood and McLaughlin continue this fight. McLaughlin with the lights on hasn't been able to really blitz his way through here, but I think the way he's approached this race has been the way he's approached the season. Methodical, smart, and calculated. He's done a very, very good job, but he's just been brought undone by the unluckiest of circumstances at the round where there's more points weighted on both races.
You're right, Noons. If this had been a 3-race round format, then Scott would have lost less points to the leaders. But have a look at Mostert out of the cutting. Nice and sideways, so there doesn't appear to be anything wrong with that Falcon. He is pushing on. Final lap up across the top of the mountain. Does he have enough to get past Nick Percat and that Coates Hire Commodore?
The Holden fans cheering the young lion at the top, but Mostert's not done with. He's throwing this car hard. You can't help but think he's going to win it or bin it with this sort of form. He's already run it over the curb a couple of times. He knows he's got to get close over the top here. He's got to be hungry. Oh, car in the wall. Aaron Russell at the cutting, and that's busted the Watts linkage, and looks like it's gone in pretty heavy, but back to the front. This is where it's at. If Mostert can get a run off the elbow, we know that FPR have got strong engines. He's still a chance at the chase.
Doesn't look like he's close enough to me, but he's in the slipstream of that Commodore. Down Conroy Straight for the final time. Mostert doing everything he can.
Over the final crest, the race win on the line, the round win on the line, and he's going for the lunch in the chase. Mostert to the inside. The crowd on pit straight have gone crazy, but Percat has got the inside. Mostert will need to switch it back, but you can bet your life Percat will park it on the inside. He knows the deal. He knows what to do. He will put it down the inside and make Mostert go the long way. He just needs to exit here well, and he will have it done. Slows him down off the mid-corner. Hits the clean sweep. Percat has dominated the mountain. 3 in a row. Don't you reckon Ryan Walkinshaw loves it?
What a finish. We haven't seen a finish like that. And Dunlop series for quite some time. Great job by those two to go side by side through Caltech's chase, fastest corner in the country, and get away with it. That was great driving.
3 race wins in a row, a 1,000 and 2 wins in the Dunlop series. Mostert and Pye would join him on the podium. Yulden and Wood 4th and 5th. McLaughlin got through to finish 6th from 13th. Round points, Percat from Mostert and Pye, Yulden and Wood rounded out the top 5 in what was a thrilling finish to round 5 of the series.
Well, Nick, that championship's certainly alive and well, and what a way to win that race.
Yeah, I said to you, I think it was 3 days ago, that I'm here to have a win, and car was pretty good over the cross of the top, and that's what really saved me. Chaz was really strong up and down on the straights, but played it pretty smart, and the last lap I backed it off, but probably a little bit too much, because I knew he hit the wall over the top of the body. He's backed off a bit, but turns out he had another crack on the last lap, but we won it by a little bit, so it's good. It's a bit like last year, you know, with Garth, but I'm actually in the driver's seat, so it's all good.
It's all good for Mostert too. He now leads with 2 rounds to go, 20 clear of McLaughlin. Percat leapfrogs Pye to move to 3rd, but it's been a great weekend for the new series leader.
Well, Chaz, some dicing at the end there, and your championship's alive.
Yeah, this round's been really good for us. You know, we topped both practices, top qualifying, but just fell a little bit down in the racing, which is a shame because they're the ones that gets the points. But you know, to be at Bathurst and driving around this track in a V8 Supercar, wow, it's an awesome experience. And I bet you not many people can say they've done this track in a V8 Supercar. So I'm very proud of my team for, you know, giving me a really quick car this weekend. Supercharged batteries and Monster Energy, they've looked after me really well, and wow, this is fantastic.
And the fight will continue. Round 6 of 7. Winton Motor Raceway supporting the V8 Supercars Championship, November 16 to 18. Make sure you're there as the future stars of V8 Supercar Racing go at it. But Nick Percat, the dominator at Mount Panorama, victory for Kotaya Racing, and this series is well and truly alive. Thanks to everyone for watching today. I'm Aaron Noonan. Thanks to James Moffat. We'll see you next time.